Welcome back to our video series on the Pingji Romanization for Cantonese. This video's lesson will be about compound vowels. So first off, what exactly is a compound vowel, also known as a diphthong? A compound vowel is basically a combination of two simple vowel sounds. So for example, the A in the word pay. This might be a surprise to some of you, but this is indeed two separate sounds. The easiest way to prove that is by asking the question, can you elongate that exact sound indefinitely? You can for any simple vowel, but you can't for a compound vowel. So I'll tell you that that particular sound is made of the e and e put together. So you can try stretching it out one of two ways. A, you can see that at the end it just becomes the e sound. Or what if I try stretching it from the start? A. But the problem is I still need to end with the e sound to make it the a sound. Anyways, that's how compound vowels work. They're not pure sounds, but a combination of two different vowels. So speaking of the a sound, this combination of letters, e and I, is our first compound vowel in Pingji. And if it wasn't clear already, it's like the ei in the word vein. So from now on, you'll see the list of compound vowels on the left side. They're all formed from two simple vowels, so at this point, it should hopefully not be too complicated. So our next compound vowel is oi, which makes the oi sound, like in coin. Hopefully you can appreciate how it's a combination of the o and e sounds. Our next one is ou. This one doesn't quite seem as obvious because the o is not exactly the Boston sound I told you before, but otherwise this is simply what we call the long o sound in English, like in the word snow. If you stretch it out like oh, you'll notice that it does become an oo sound for the second part of it, which again proves that it's a compound vowel and not a simple one. Our next one is iu. It is as it sounds, ew. It's kind of like the English word you, but instead of the y sound, you still hear a hint of the e. Compare ew versus you. That said, it can be difficult to tell and can sound like a u when spoken quickly. The next two I'm going to cover at the same time because they involve both the single A and the double A. AI is simply a and e put together. If you sound that out, ai becomes a. This is basically like in the English word white. AY combines double A and I, and if you sound that out, I becomes I, like in the English word Y. So I'm sure you're wondering where the Y came from. Why isn't it AAI? Basically, one of the goals in Pingji is to be as concise with letters as possible, and AAI is just one too many letters. So to get around this, double letters in compound vowels effectively force a change into the letter at the end. In this case, the I gets morphed into a Y. The letter I is closely related to the letter Y. Just think about how often they're interchanged in English already. Now, I'd like you to think of this whole spelling process as something like a chemical reaction. Double letters are unstable, so first, the double A's split apart, and then a second I reacts with the I to morph it into the Y. And so we get a Y. A-Y. This won't be the only time an I morphs into a Y, so just remember this process. The next two compounds are very similar, and this time the second vowel component is the oo sound instead of the e sound. AU is the shorter one and makes the sound ow, like in the English word pout. While AW is the longer one and makes the sound like in the English word cow. Compare ow versus ow. So in this case, our second vowel is the double U sound. We abbreviate that into a single U letter for ow, and in the case of ow, the U's are forced into morph into the letter W. W is also closely related to U. Not only is the name of the letter literally double U, but even in English they can have similar sounds. For example, the names Sean and Sean, which are both pronounced exactly the same, or the words laundry and lawn. You see how I could just interchange the U and W here when they're following the letter A? So again, I hope it makes sense how the U morphs into the W. Finally, we get to our last pair of short and long compound vowels. The first one, UI, is probably the most complicated one because it also doesn't exist in English. Try to pronounce the two sounds separately. First the short U sound, and then adding E after it. Oi, 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 oi. It's a hard one, but you actually need to master this because it's very common in Cantonese. The second one, UY, is a bit easier. That's U and E put together. Ui, 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 ui. It's kind of like the sound in the English word buoy, but more of a smoother transition because it should be one syllable, not two. Compare Cantonese buoy versus English buoy. So that's it for the compound vowels. And what makes them even easier is that they never have an ending consonant. So now we've officially covered all the possible sounds in Cantonese. Let's look at some more words and try to sound them out. This time I'll be using words with actual meaning. I'll give you some time to pause for each one before giving you the answer. Number 1, it means 4 glasses of water. And the answer is 4杯水. 4杯水. Number 2, it means Western food. And the answer is 西菜. 西菜. Number 3, cow milk. And the answer is 牛奶. 牛奶. Number 4 means little cat. The answer is 小猫. 小猫. And finally, number 5, which is hello. And that one is 你好. 你好. Finally, I'm going to say some words and ask you to spell them out. Get ready to write them down or spell them out loud. Number 1, 牛腸. Again, 牛腸. Number 2, 美國. And again, that's 美國. Number 3, 早晨. Again, that's 早晨. Number 4, 佢哋. Again, that's 佢哋. And here are the answers. Once again, these words were 牛腸, 美國, 早晨, 佢哋. And I have 4 more as well, so get ready to spell these out. Starting with number 1, 大哥. Again, that's 大哥. Number 2, 面包. Again, 面包. Number 3, bye bye. Again, bye bye. And number 4, 上海. And again, that's 上海. I'll give you a few more seconds to write these out or rewind. And here are the answers. Once again, these words were 大哥, 面包, bye bye, 上海. And that brings us to the end of this video. Practice those sounds if you need to, but otherwise, I'll see you in the next video where we'll cover the tones.